Hello, Cornerstone Church. Pastor Phil here on day 14 of our 21 days of prayer and fasting. Day 14, that means the end of our second week. So we are 2/3 of the way through. I hope that everyone's starting to get excited about that. I hope as well that it's really been a blessing. We had a great prayer meeting on Friday. 11 people came out and just cried out to the Lord for friends, for neighbors, for our own hearts, our own souls, spiritual breakthroughs, strongholds to be taken down. It was really great. And I want to encourage, please come out. Next Friday is going to be our last of these prayer meetings dedicated to the 21 days. So let's really finish strong and let's go out with a bang. Our focus for today in the two resources that we have, in the 21 Days of Prayer and Fasting Guide, there's an interesting thought. The title is Authentic Fasting, and the passage is taken from Isaiah 58. And the idea is fasting must be accompanied with goodwill and good works toward others to be effective and pleasing to God. The passage in Isaiah 58 says, "Why have we fasted, they say, and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting you do as you please and exploit all your workers. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife and in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high." Now, if you read that passage in Isaiah 58, it goes on to say that this is the kind of fast I have chosen, says the Lord, to loose the bonds of oppression, to set the prisoner free. It's about caring for the needs of others. Now, in the fasting thought, they use a quote from John Piper where he says, why is this type of fasting unacceptable to God? What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it is that it leaves the sin in their lives untouched. The only authentic fasting is fasting that includes a spiritual attack against our own sin. Whatever else we fast for, we must fast for our own holiness. Now, I believe that's true. It's a very powerful thought that fasting has to bring us closer to God and deal with the sin in our own lives. We've talked about that in various ways. When we do without food, it tends to reveal the other things that play controlling roles in our lives that we cover up with food and other things. And when we are fasting, those things come to the surface and we become more aware of them. So we've talked about this idea of holiness. We've talked about growing in grace and dealing with sin. But I don't think that's what the passage in Isaiah 58 is talking about. The passage in Isaiah 58 is specifically talking about our concern for other people. And from that perspective, it's a powerful thought that doesn't really get mentioned here. When we fast, we really should have God's heart for the lost more in our lives. We should have a greater burden for the lost. We should have a greater burden for those that are in bondage and in oppression and that are being held captive by a variety of things around us, by drugs, by alcohol, by pornography, by whatever it may be. All the things, by greed, by anger. All of these things are strongholds and they hold people captive. And as we fast, we have more of a heart, more of the Lord's heart in us, and those things, we become more sensitive to those burdens, and we care more about the struggles that people are going through. That's the kind of fast that really honors God. When we want to set the captives free, when we want to see burdens lifted and oppression broken in other people's lives, and in our own life too, but in other people as well. We have to have a burden for other people as we fast. In the 21 Dangerous Prayers, the theme for day 14 is "Make your face shine upon me, O Lord." And that is also a very powerful prayer. He talks about receiving recognition as a child, the smiling face of a parent or grandparent because of some accomplishment that we made or some feat that we overcame, and how much that impacted our hearts and our lives to get the approval of others. Except now we're seeking the approval of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the highest and greatest authority in heaven and on earth and under the earth, the approval of God. And so the prayer from Psalm 119 is, make your face shine upon your servant and teach me your statutes. As we go on in fasting, we want to see the smile of God on our lives. We want to see his approving face looking in our direction and smiling upon us. The prayer says this in the 21 dangerous prayers. The prayer says, Father in heaven, I live for an audience of one, and that is you. Father, I want your face to shine on my life. May my life be so aligned with your word that I will experience your smiling approval and hear these words from your heart. Well done, good and faithful servant. There is no greater praise that anyone can receive in all of eternity than to have God say, well done, good and faithful servant. Let's press on in our fasting. Let's finish really strong and look for the smiling approval of God upon our lives and pray to hear that commendation, well done, good and faithful servant. God bless you. Have a beautiful day.